Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Undisputed Heavyweight Champion of the World show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always, Richard Tiemann, and this is Mark Morris Monday, as I've come to call it. I think that's a catchy title.
That is so sadly depressing.
What, you don't think Mark Morris Comedy Monday? Like, some combination...
I was hoping for a better day than a Monday, is all I'm saying.
Well, but then again, think about it like this. If you do Mark Morris Monday, 3 M's, right? It could
Which
catch
is
on.
usually what I say more often than not. That's and if anyone see me, they get that joke.
We are on location at the Buzz Pizzeria with Mark Morris, who hosts this little comedy shindig where you're going to have your showcase of the month. The comedians that have competed previously are here tonight that have won those competitions, and this is a showcase of the ones that have won, correct?
No.
No?
What this is I go through and I pick 4 talented local comedians and give them an opportunity to work on a longer set, 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. And the competition is the audience at the Buzz gets to decide who they feel has the best set each month.
Okay, so it's not kind of like I've got March Madness on the mind, so it's not like you win and you advance kind of tournament thing.
There are no brackets. I am not nearly together enough to be able to organize like that.
I think that we could put together a decent comedic bracket. It would be the seeding that would be tough.
Not at all. I know exactly who goes on top. And
fair enough. Okay, so you know how you would seed, but this is not a tournament style. It's just sort of a one and done. And then what does the winner get again?
The huge cash prize of $20 whole, enough if you can cover the tax for 2 to dine at Applebee's.
Did you work that out specifically?
No, it's just I'm quick at math involving food.
Fair enough. All right, so tonight we've got another great lineup of comedians, which, of course, I'm taking your word for it on that one, because you handpicked them. So
I try and pick them, but not by hand. I use tongs, because you don't want to touch these people. And they really don't want to be touched by me. No, you know what? I'm lucky enough that I've got a lot of really great people that I'm networked with in the comedy community. I've been able to build a reputation in the area that we have fun shows, people get paid, and audiences get to have a good time. So I usually don't have any trouble getting people to come out and perform. I'm actually booked up here through May.
Yeah, and it's good for all parties involved. I mean, you get to put together a great show. Comedians get to come in and they get to try out their material that they're working on, that they want to try maybe some new material. The people that are here dining in, they get a show, and then the Buzz in turn gets business out of it, and in sort of a special event that they get to host. So everybody wins on all fronts, and then you have me here who does this, kind of pre-event thing with you guys.
Well, and you're sporting the hat. That's the really important part. That's your job, is to sport the hat. No, you know what? There are open mic comedy nights all around Spokane, most nights of the week, during the week. And what an open mic is where brand new people and people that are working on brand new material get to do the real work of putting together comedy. This is a showcase. What this is where people take some of that stuff that they've been working on that's got a little bit of a rough polish to it and showcase what they can do in a legitimate show. Comedians live 3 to 5 minutes at a time. At the open mic at the Spokane Comedy Club, you get 3 to 4 minutes, up, one, and done. So here you get that opportunity to work a little bit longer material, to let your set flow a little bit more, and make a little bit of money in the process. Because I think what we do as a talent, it's an art, and artists should get paid for their talent.
Yeah, of course. And you actually mentioned, I didn't know that about open mics and being such a short set list. But I guess maybe in comedy terms, it makes sense. Like someone like you thinks, yeah, that's plenty of time. Have you ever been up on stage for even a minute? Like it's like the most enduring thing ever that you have to go through. And then you told me when I got here, you're like, yeah, so each one of these guys is going to go up and try to make people laugh for 15 minutes. And I was like, I don't know if I could make people laugh for 15 minutes, especially because I don't know how I would act out my sexual awakening in college up there, because that's a tricky one.
And I want to be really clear. It's not 15 continuous minutes. That'll kill you. They have to breathe at some point.
Yes.
Hopefully we give them 10-second breaths in between, and the rest is laughter.
There you go.
And you know what the great thing is I have an opportunity here. What I do here normally month to month is a regular monthly showcase, but I also get the opportunity to do shows that are a little more special. For example, in the month of April, I've got 4 legitimate headliners. These are guys that have all headlined at the Spokane Comedy Club. They're touring comedians that, for some of them, comedian is their job and description. And they're going to be here in April. There is no best of winner that night. All those guys are going to do 20-minute sets. The winners are going to be the people that show up and get to watch what could be as much as a $30 ticket elsewhere for no more than the price of a couple of drinks or a pizza.
There you go. You can't beat that. And I think it's great that you've got this going on. And I saw the comedians last time. I got to get to know some of them, see some of them perform, and it was a lot of fun. Very different personalities, very different style, and it's good to have a variety like that. Is that something that you sort of take upon yourself to organize, is to try to get a good variety of comedic styles, or is it kind of you throw in what sticks?
Well, when you're booking a show, you try and structure it so that you have people that complement each other.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do. And as far as very different, well, that describes pretty much every comedian. Very different. So it works out, And the great thing is here at the Buzz, the owners are so gracious. I walked in here to see why I was being followed by this group on Instagram, and 5 minutes later, we had a show that has now been in effect for more than a year, which in comedy is not the rule, it's more the exception.
Yeah.
Open mics can have several years, but for a regular monthly showcase to have this kind of success is fantastic, and it gets better all the time. I please encourage people to come on down. If you're looking for something to do near the South Hill, this is it on a Monday night. I mean, it really is. It's a great place.
And so is this every Monday night?
It's every third Monday.
Every third Monday. Okay, I wanted to make sure we communicated that, because I know we did last time, but for the new listeners out there, every third Monday at the Buzz on Freya. Great place, great setup, and great comedy and comedians. You can say that 5 times fast. So you're going to bring up one by one?
I'm going to go ahead and get the owner up here.
Yes.
And as I'm waiting for him to walk to the mic, I do want to mention you can find information on all of this by going to Facebook and looking at The Buzz Spokane. That's The Buzz Spokane, all one word, and Mark Morris Comedy on Facebook. And I will step out of the way and let the amazing owner of The Buzz come in.
Amazing, huh? What an introduction.
Hey, welcome, Mr. Owner.
How are you?
Good to see you again.
You as well.
And so introduce yourself real quick so everyone knows.
My name is Zach McBurney. I am the owner of The Buzz here in Spokane, Washington.
And how long have you owned The Buzz?
So I've owned it since September of 2016, officially. We have made quite a few changes since then, so back then it didn't look anything like it does now. Currently, the way it currently is, we've been doing things this way since about July of last year.
Yeah, because it used to be Reboot, right? Okay, and
Right, that was the previous business, yeah.
So when you take on something like this, to own a business, I know that so many people that own businesses kind of have made up in their mind what they want it to look like. I mean, even the building itself. I mean, the interior and decoration is one thing, but you're like, I want the door to be here, and I want bathrooms over here and this. But when you take on a building that was previously owned by a business, which it's a good start, especially if it's got the same features and functions that you need, like a restaurant to restaurant.
Right.
But when there's slight differences, like what kind of a challenge does that present when it comes to remodeling?
So it was quite a challenge. Reboot was actually 2 completely separate businesses. One was a computer repair, and they had the coffee shop on the other side. So basically taking the half that was set up to quite literally be like a repair shop. I mean, workbenches, cubicles, tools, and like storage and that type of stuff, to make it into a place where people can sit and eat and be comfortable and have it be clean. That was quite a challenge, including taking walls down and things like that. Luckily, I used to be a contractor, so I actually did all of the major remodeling myself, which was very nice.
See, I remember my mom telling me when I was growing up that if I didn't want to go to college for a profession, that I needed to become like one of two things, either a veterinarian or a mechanic, because then you can save so much money on things that you don't think that you're going to need to spend a lot of money on, like obviously taking care of your pets, or when your car needs to have a tune-up or whatever else done. It's like, you know how to do that. It's a trade. And so contracting clearly is one that for any business owner, small or large, should probably have a friend, a good friend, one that you can trust, that can come in the clutch for that. So that's good. That's good, though.
And the way I kind of work, I mean, I'm one of those people who was and is good at everything, maybe not great at a single one thing. I didn't have a singular career that I was chasing. So being a little bit good at everything really, to me, made sense to just do a business. And then you can take all of these random skills that I've acquired and put them into something tangible, and then those small things or other things that I'm not great at, I can find other people to help me. You know, for example, I didn't have very much experience at all in the kitchen of a restaurant, and now I have a kitchen manager who's become one of my best friends, who has completely changed the way the Buzz is. I mean, the pizzeria is above the logo, and it's quite literally because of him. So it's cool. I have done a lot, but I haven't done it alone, which is fun.
Yeah, and I think that we all have those friends that their number one skill is helping move large furniture, you know, and then followed immediately by their lack of dependability for when you need them to move large furniture. Exactly. But it's good that you found somebody that you trust, that you can depend on, because I mean, businesses, it's all about who you can count on, you know, helping each other out. So I'm glad to see the Buzz Pizzeria. This is my second time here, and each time it's been very sort of just a comfortable feeling, you know. It's not an outrageous sports bar. Right. It's nothing too heavy on any kind of single theme, and it's just got this really nice mood where there's music going on in the background that's not too loud. We're going to have comedy going on. There's a great bar, and then you've got nice seating. So I think, you know, circumstances considered, you taking over from another business that was very much not what you had envisioned, I think it was a slam dunk. So that's awesome on your part.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it's been fun. I mean, like I said, we've gone through quite a few changes, very drastic changes, and most of that is stemmed from what the neighborhood and what the community around here wants and needs. You know, we realized while taking on, because we did start off as the coffee shop, we realized very quickly that this neighborhood doesn't need its 10th coffee shop. And if you know exactly what I'm talking about, if you've ever driven through this neighborhood at all, they're everywhere. And so it didn't take us long at all, like I said, to decide to go a different route, give people a place to come and eat real food, get a drink, and that has been a great thing for us, and the response from the neighborhood and from the people have been awesome.
Yeah, neighborhoods don't need a fifth coffee stand, especially when you're within a mile of Dutch Bros. I mean, you don't need another coffee. Yeah, you don't need another coffee stand.
I mean, Starbucks is across the street over in Fred Meyer. Blissful Blends, and Jacob's Java's up the street, and like all of these companies are great companies. Nothing wrong with them, you know. I looked up to them in the industry when we were in it, and you know, they're doing great things, and we realized that wasn't our niche. In this area, we had to do something different. So, and I'm so glad we did.
So, am I understanding that the Buzz name came from the coffee shop? Like, is that the origins of it?
So, it was actually the Buzz. I mean, came from we always knew we were going to do a bar eventually.
Yeah.
But the original idea was to actually do both. It was to keep coffee the way it kind of was through the drive-thru and everything, and then bring in the booze. And so there was the buzz. You know, you're getting the buzz on both ends. You get the caffeine buzz and then the liquor or beer buzz. And so once we decided we weren't going to do coffee anymore, the brand and the name was already there. So we decided let's just keep that. You know, people recognized it, so let's just keep that going.
You can have the buzz. Your slogan should be like, "Wake up, now drink."
Yeah, exactly. It would have been. Getting rid of coffee was a good move for us. But yeah, like I said, the name kind of had to stay.
So how have you liked the comedy showcases that Mark's put on here?
Oh my gosh, these shows have been awesome. It's actually, I don't know if he told you the story of how we got connected, but so my background is actually marketing, and that's one of the main skills that I brought into it, and oftentimes was the only leg I had to stand on as far as opening a new business, which isn't a terrible thing. If you're good at telling other people what to do and how to do it, like, it's a good place to start. And basically Mark came in one day and said, somebody is doing an excellent job at marketing towards my Instagram page. Different words were used, but you know what I mean? He was basically just saying, somebody's blowing me up on Instagram, and so I have to come in here and check it out. And so just through conversation, the ideas that he wanted to put forth as far as his comic career, he was just getting started, didn't really even have anything going, and saw an opportunity for us to kind of partner up and get something going. And now, I mean, I'm sure he's told you, he's got tons of shows going on, tons of comics. We were just talking earlier, people that he never even thought he would be able to book are now begging him to be in some of his shows, including this one. And it's just been so cool to watch him grow and develop as a comic and as, you know, kind of his own little business as a little booking agent or whatever you'd want to call him. It's been an incredible journey for both of us. It's been fun.
Yeah, and it's always funny to me to hear people talk about how they've met certain important people in their lives. For me, this is the third year I've done the show now, and one of the first big names that I had on was a guy from NFL Network, and we're still friends to this day. He's going to come on for my 300th episode in a couple of weeks, but we met on Twitter. I called him a douchebag initially, and we've been friends ever since.
That's
great.
I
I apologize profusely because I didn't expect to get a response from someone at his level, and then he did, and I was like, you know what? My bad. Right. And so now we're friends. But you and I, though, this is our second interaction together, and we actually have something in common. We are both recipients of the Spokane Entrepreneurship Award. I got media, and you got which category was it?
Entertainment, culture, and community or something. You know, and it's terrible that I don't know that. I probably should. I wasn't at the award show, and I just had had other plans, unfortunately, that were booked out way further in advance. But I had a buddy actually had my plaque, which that was a terrible idea because he still has it. I feel like if I would have just let them give it to me, I probably would have had it by now.
Yeah.
But I still don't even know. So I actually don't really. I'm kind of guessing when I say what category I won.
I tried to convince them to give it to me because I was going to be here that Monday after, and they're like, "No, we got it." There's a guy
buddies.
who's
just disappeared off the face of the planet. Apparently,
it's one of those dependability factors, right?
Stuff you were talking about earlier. It's good to move furniture, not really, but yeah. Exactly.
Well, I'm excited for tonight's showcase. I love being here. It's a great spot. It's the Buzz on Freya, and you guys are open. Thor, that is right, because that's the one way. It's kind of like Maple and Ash, you know?
It is. They're very intertwined. The Thor Freya exit. Right,
Ruby and Division. If you live in Spokane, you know what we mean.
No, yes, totally. Exactly. That's true. But I've had people, I've been driving around Freya all day, and we're on Thor, that's right.
All right, well, enjoy the show. It's been great to talk to you, to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's you're the owner. I mean, obviously, we gotta do a shout out for you and have a little featurette. But now we're gonna get to know some of the comics. So I believe that one is up first. The lovely one in the glasses and sweater.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Wait, me? Yes, you. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. I'm Richard.
I'm Sophie.
Sophie, it's nice to meet you. You can adjust that however you want. You can make it,
Looks
you know.
like good. I know.
So try to have it pointing at you. You know.
If I move this, is that like? Okay.
There you go.
Good?
Yeah, you can even have it a little closer if you want.
Oh, okay. Okay.
People can always turn the volume down. I don't want to have them worry about having to turn it up. So if it's too loud, you're too old. But
Okay.
So you're performing tonight. How long have you been doing comedy for?
I started, I want to say in 2014, but I took like a 2-year break. So in September, I moved back to Spokane, and I've been taking it a lot more seriously and at least going to open mics like once a week.
So when you say take a break, is that like were you going to pursue something else as a career, or are you just like, I'm laughed out, at this point? I gotta, find my laughter again. Like, I don't know what it means for a comedian to take a break.
Mixture of both. I moved away. I started in California, and then I moved away for various reasons, and I decided to take a 3-year road trip around the U.S.
There you go.
And initially, my goal was to do comedy in all the 48 states, but just because of budgeting reasons,
it's tough, right?
I still hit all the lower 48, but I didn't do comedy in any of them.
Oh, wow.
But and then I ended up moving to Georgia for about a year. So I moved 5 times in 2017. So now I'm in Spokane. I've been here for almost 6 months, and I'm just like, holy crap! Like, I feel settled.
Yeah, it kind of gives you that feeling of like this is where you could put roots, but then you have the winter time, and it's like I'm done with the winter, you know,
yeah,
like
same. Very done.
Especially when it teases you with spring mid-February, and then it comes right back with like a full head of steam with winter again, and like, you know, an 8-inch snowfall. It's like,
yeah.
Oh, spring, is that you? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
just
no.
kidding.
No, this winter was like my first really cold winter in like 5 years, so I was super done. I'm really ready for summer, but Spokane is good enough that the winter didn't totally ruin it for me.
Yeah, it's got its own little perks that make up for like potholes and long winters and things like that nature. So obviously comedy happening at the Buzz Pizzeria is one of them. How many times have you performed here in Spokane?
I'm not sure. Pretty much since I've been moving, I could do the math on it, but I'm not a math person. But like big shows are just like performing total.
Really anything. I mean, from open mics, like I guess, you know, it is hard to keep track, you know, if you do a lot of them, but there's some comics that I talked to last time that they could give me like the exact number, like the exact day that they started performing comedy and how many times they had performed comedy. So if that's not you as far as a memory goes, that's fine. Ballpark it.
Oh geez, okay. Okay, I'm still doing the math. I'm sorry. I'm an English person. I really not many. Like now that I think about it, like time-wise, I think I spent a lot of time writing, but the amount of times that I've actually been up on stage performing is probably between like 60 and 70 times total.
That's not bad, especially if you started out 2014, you had a break, and now you're back doing it. That's not bad. And yeah, I guess you could measure it in two different ways. You could measure it in appearances or like minutes up on stage. I assume that a person that does a lot of open mics, where Mark was saying it's like 3 to 4 minutes, you probably have to do a lot to rack up even, you know, like a few hours worth of experience. And I don't know, is that something that a comedian logs? Is like, I've done this many hours of comedy.
I'm sure some do. I definitely don't, because I'm not very organized. I'm just kind of like, I don't know, I just have to take it like set by set. Every week I try to at least have some new stuff, but that doesn't happen either. But then it's just another opportunity to work on the stuff I already have. So, sorry, I forgot what the question was.
Oh, it was just how many times you had performed comedy.
Yeah.
It's okay. The next one is basically how you decided that you wanted to get up in front of a bunch of strangers and tell jokes in your own special way.
When did I decide?
Yeah.
That was back in California too. I was writing a script with like 5 friends, and it was supposed to be a comedy script, and then one of like my writing partners was like, Sophie, you should really try open mics. So it wasn't even necessarily that I decided to do it, but someone told me I should try it, and then I went up and I didn't pee my pants, and I was like, holy crap, I like this.
See, that kind of origin story makes sense to me, because you're already writing material. You know, you're in the habit of writing things, lines that people will say. And so then you have these people that are like, yeah, so I was flipping burgers one time, and we were just telling a bunch of dick jokes in the kitchen, and it's just like, hey, I should try an open mic. Like, you're not like that. You actually had like some sort of background in what it is that comedians do, and then you just kind of went through with it. So I think that's one of the better origin stories that I've heard, as far as somebody kind of finding their path to comedy.
I'm sometimes self-conscious about it, because a lot of the comedians that I talk to and write with here in Spokane spend so much time, and they are so dedicated, and I love comedy, I follow comedians, and I love to write, and sometimes I worry that I'm not like not as dedicated, but not as like regimented as they are.
Yeah.
I just want it to translate.
No, I get that. So who was your inspiration as far as comedy, or did you even have one? Because it sounds like it could have gone either way for you, writing scripts. Maybe you had someone of influence comedy-wise, maybe you didn't, and then you kind of found your own way. But did you have one that you looked up to?
Oh, yeah, definitely a lot. I mean, I've always been super interested in comedy even before I started doing stand-up, but, my idols have definitely changed over the years. Because when I first started, I feel like I was kind of female comics, all girls. And then I just, the more female versus male comics I saw, I realized that a lot of the times women have problems staying relatable. They do a lot of bits that I feel only women are going to enjoy, and I think women, not to stereotype, but may not necessarily keep up with comedy as much as guys do, which I don't know. Maybe I am just stereotyping right now, but
I don't know if I would say that. I think, as a guy, I think it's something where, because I'll listen to male comics and then female comics, and there is kind of a difference, and I don't think it's like a him versus her kind of thing. I think it's that in our natural state, guys and their business are just so much more out there than a woman's, that's why women can understand a joke that a guy is telling better than maybe a guy can for a girl, because they've been in relationships, they've been married, they've seen that happen where a girl can be a bit more, kept in secret and just talk about it amongst her girlfriends. So maybe it falls on deaf ears to a guy as far as why is that funny? What are they talking about? So there is a subtle difference, but I don't think it's a stereotype kind of thing.
And definitely, I would say the amount of male versus female comedians we have out there, there's just a larger pool to find really, really great male comedians. And I mean, there are so many really great female comedians too, but it's also just probably harder to get.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
But so you're asking about my role models and stuff. So when I first started, I really liked Amy Schumer for being dirty, and Sarah Silverman also, because she's political and also dirty, and Amy Poehler, Tina Fey, but they were less stand-up, more just comedy role models. But now, that I pay a lot more attention to it. John Mulaney is one of my favorite comics.
It's a good one, yeah.
And Anthony Jeselnik. Oh man, Hannibal Buress.
That's a good variety, a good lineup you've got going there so far. I'm keeping up in my mind. I'm just yep, seen them, different.
Yeah. In May, I get to host for Tom Segura, which I'm so excited about, so nervous about. I am a huge fan of his, and
I am too.
I just picture myself on repeat, just fucking up really badly or something. So I hope it goes well.
Well, Sophia, have a great set tonight. I appreciate you being on.
Thank you.
And I'm not sure who Mark has. Oh yeah, hey, whoever's coming up next. And go ahead and adjust that however you need to.
Maybe a little higher.
There you go.
Want to knock it off.
And then you can always bring it around, so we don't have to do this awkward side stare kind of thing.
Oh.
I'm Richard.
Brian,
nice to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
So you're performing tonight in Mark's Comedy Showcase. How long have you been doing comedy for?
It was a year last month.
Wow,
still pretty new.
So we were just talking about how she was trying to think of how many times she had gone up on stage, and then she's just are we talking open mic or full sets or showcases like this? And it dawned on me that you guys might be the type of career that you would count your experience in minutes. Is that something that comedians do? I've been up on stage for 30 hours, so I've got.
I don't know if anybody keeps that
that kind of track.
I mean, maybe if they're really OCD, I could see that being something that somebody does. But, I mean, they always say that it's about how often you go up as well. And I have a family and a wife and everything I try to balance out, so I usually only get up once or twice a week. But if you can get up multiple times a night, you're setting yourself that much further ahead, and you're giving yourself more experience at different places. There's some people that do every single open mic all week long. So,
what was the hardest thing for you doing comedy to overcome? Was it being in front of people you didn't know, or being in front of different people each time that you didn't know? Because every crowd is different, and there can be some hecklers in the audience, and that's kind of the wild card that you guys have to deal with. But for you, like, was it presentation, material preparation, strangers, venue? Like, what was the biggest hurdle for you?
Well, for me personally, and I know it probably sounds strange, but it's actually getting over myself. I'm like my biggest critic.
Oh, yeah.
And if something doesn't go the first time I ever do a joke, if it doesn't go as well as my mind might have envisioned it, I'll throw that joke away and like not do it for a long time. And then I'll bring it back one time and it does really well, and then I have to understand that like different nights have different energies and have different kinds of crowds, so you never know what exactly is going to go over super well, and it doesn't necessarily mean that joke isn't a good joke. It just means that maybe reword it a little bit, maybe a different crowd would receive it a little better.
I remember a time I was down at WSU, and they had a sort of a showcase, but it was like music and comedy. So they had bands playing that had comedians, and one of them was Jeff Dye over in Seattle. And this was one of the first times that it was his early comings, right? And so he tried out some what was obviously new material at the very beginning, and when he wasn't getting the reaction that he was looking for, you could tell he went back to stuff that he was way more comfortable with telling. So what's the decision process like when you try out something new, doesn't have the reaction that you want, but you're like, was it the crowd? Was it the joke? Was it the presentation? Should I try it again? And like, how much feedback do the other comics give you in that?
I know that for me, I approach everything very analytically, so I try to always do it the exact same way, and I think that might hurt me in the long run sometimes, because it's probably good to be fluid and to maybe judge the crowd and see maybe what they might like more, ditch the set list you had planned and go to something else. But I have certain specific things I want to practice and everything, so I usually stick with my set regardless. And a friend of mine said that you should always try to do at least one new joke when you're at an open mic, whether it be the first joke or last joke or whatever. I mean, you probably want to end on a high note usually. Yeah. But so I've been trying to do that unless I'm specifically practicing for a show that's coming up and there's certain jokes I want to get out there a few times and see how they go over. So I would say that that's kind of my game plan is I stick to what I had planned almost religiously, but I try to put a new joke in there every time so that I can pepper that in with things that I know work.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good rule of thumb to have. Yeah, one new joke per set. Now, for you, though, you said you're analytical, so I'm dying to hear what your origin story is for becoming, either a comedian, if this is what you want to call yourself, or just getting into stand-up comedy.
Well, it's kind of strange, actually. I mean, I've always been a consumer of comedy. Like, I've always enjoyed listening to it on Pandora or what have you. And I started actually trying to find an old radio station that I listened to when I still lived in Tucson, Arizona. This old radio station, and I found this website called TuneIn, because I heard that it broadcasts from all over the place. And then it started channeling me into podcasts, and I didn't even know that podcasts were a thing at the time. And then naturally I started gravitating towards the comedy ones, and I came across one called Kill Tony. I'm not sure if you've heard of it before.
I haven't, but, well, it sounds familiar, but I haven't, gone in and listened to it or anything.
Yeah.
But.
And then that one, it's recorded at the Comedy Store. And it's basically an open mic where they draw the names out of a bucket. They only give them 1 minute of time, and then they interview them afterwards. And this is in L.A. at the world-famous Comedy Store.
Yeah.
And I would hear people that were horrible, just bomb in front of thousands of people, presumably, over the internet, and of course the hundreds of people that are there. And I was like, if they can do that, I think I can do better than they can.
Especially for a minute, right? Right. That's not an eternity or anything.
So I was like, so I went to the Comedy Club, Spokane Comedy Club. I watched one night, and I saw the same thing there. Good people, really bad people, and I was like, if I can do better than the worst person, then I think I'll probably be fine. So I wrote jokes for 2 months, and then I went and did my first open mic.
Now, your testing audience, when it comes to trying out new material, even before you try out the new material, do you tell your jokes amongst your friends, and is that even an accurate sample pool as far as how your jokes are going to do to people that don't know you very well?
I'll discuss premises with friends sometimes. I don't really like to tell the joke, because an audience has a different vibe than telling it to just one single person. When someone hears that you're a comedian, they'll be like, oh, tell me a joke. But for the most part, if you do that, if it's a joke that's written for a room audience, because they all vibe off of each other. So
Yeah,
you're telling
yeah.
it to one person, they might not laugh, but when they feel the warmth of the room and they feel the room laughing, then they'll join in, and it's more of a reaction. So when I'm talking to other comedians, I'll just talk to them about maybe a premise of a joke and see, if they think that that's a good premise, and if they even chuckle at, like, sometimes I'll chuckle at just the idea of it, just the premise of the joke, and that gives you a clue that that's probably a pretty good joke if you can write a punchline that goes along well with it. But then beyond that, I mean, the crowd is going to be a completely different scenario, and you will have comedians in the crowd most of the time. Like if you're going to like a bar open mic, that's most of the crowd.
Yeah,
is
yeah,
comedians.
I can see that.
And if you can make them laugh, then that's great. But that, of course, ultimately isn't your goal, because they've heard so many jokes, they're kind of desensitized to it a little bit. They're usually only going to laugh at the really like shocking, harsh, dark stuff. From my experience. Which is, it's good to be able to get them with that, but I focus more on maybe that one guy or one or two people that are outside of that realm because they mean more to me, because they're the kind of the general population that'll be at a show like this.
Yeah, and I'm not sure where the change happened, because you mentioned something that as a musician I ran into a lot when I was in bands, and that was when I used to go to bands shows on the weekends when I was in high school. We went just to go and just to get out for a night, and we didn't care who was playing. Start to finish, we stayed there, we had a good time. And now it seems like you see people in the crowd that show up and they're just like standing there, arms crossed, like, all right, like, you better kick ass. And with comedians, you had people that would go to a comedy show because they wanted to go somewhere and laugh and be entertained, and now it's like they go and they pull up a chair and they're like, all right, make me laugh, bitch. Like, I don't know how that change happened, but it's something that I think probably makes it a lot harder on you guys now, because you see maybe a bit more of that.
Well, there's a lot of different audience members that you'll see. I mean, for one, when you're doing what I was talking about, bar open mics, a lot of those people were going to get a beer or get a sandwich. They had no idea there was even going to be an open mic. So you're literally surprising them with comedy.
Yeah.
And they'll joke around about it, like the host and stuff. If somebody comes in, they're like, hey, there's somebody new. I can tell that joke again that I just said a second ago, because see how that person reacts, because that's how few people are actually in the bar at the time. And then, of course, there'll be the people that are true comedy fans that are receptive and just excited to be there and see what you have to offer. And then this is something you'll see sometimes as well, somebody that brings somebody else. They're super into it, but this other person might not be. Like, my wife is not as big of a comedy fan as I am, but she'll come out with me. But is she going to laugh at as much as I am? Probably not, because she doesn't know who is even up there. It could be a touring headliner, and she's going to be like, I've never heard of this guy before.
Wow.
So to him, or to her, he's really got to prove himself to her.
Who was your biggest influence getting into comedy? Like, who was the one guy that you could watch on repeat?
It's actually he was a local comedian. He kind of still is. Dan Cummins. I don't know if
I know who that is.
Dan Cummins, he started off in Spokane, and he's moved on to be a national touring comic. He has a pretty popular podcast. He's worked in LA a bunch. He actually is living in Coeur d'Alene now as an arrangement between his ex-wife and stuff to see his kids and everything. So it's kind of cool. That's the city that I live in, and he lives in the same city as I do. But I just organically found him on Pandora, and I just feel like I have a similar sense of humor and kind of things that I find funny. Like he has a dark sense of humor. He likes to take it to a ridiculous level. He likes to just keep going with it until it's kind of ridiculous.
See, and I love those organic findings. Like, that's how I discovered Tom Segura and Joe Coy. I remember. So Joe Coy was a while ago, and before he was even at the Spokane Comedy Club, I remember seeing a special on Netflix, and I had seen just a clip, and I was like, this could be good. And so I watched it, and I thought it was hilarious. Like, I was busting up. And then Tom Segura was actually on Amazon Prime. Now, I had seen his poster or his billboard, and I missed that show. And then when it came on, I was like, oh, yeah, this guy was just here. Let's see what he's got. And so, when you don't have like a trailer that's on repeat to ruin a movie for you when you finally go to see it, or like some friend telling you gotta see this, it's so awesome, it's like so much better of an experience to have just that moment kind of be yours and yours alone, that you discover a new comedian and they turn out to be one of your favorites. So
yeah, sometimes I'll drag my wife along with shows, and I took her to the Dan Cummins show when he came to the Spokane Comedy Club, and she'd never heard of him. She wouldn't care to listen to him, because that's just not what she consumes. She more listens to music, and maybe she'll watch some some dramas or something on TV. She's not a comedy consumer, but obviously she has a sense of humor, and that's why she was attracted to me, or at least that's what I tell myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I took her to that show, and she was laughing the whole time because he's great. He's hilarious. And then after the show, she said, watching him makes me feel like you actually have a chance in comedy because you are so much like him. I mean, he's obviously much funnier than you are, but I can see a similarity between your sense of humor and the kind of stuff that you talk about and everything. So it's like she had more faith in me and my comedy because she saw the similarities between me and Dan. Which I'm not trying to mimic him or anything. I just feel like that's why I enjoy him, is because we have similar senses.
That's got to be a good, comforting feeling, though, knowing that she's like, well, if he can do it, you can. That's the biggest vote of confidence from anyone.
Well, she's like my biggest critic. She tells me all the time that, oh, well, you're not funny. I don't know why you're even trying to do this. It's kind of harsh to say to somebody. But then she'll come to my shows and she'll see people laugh at my jokes. And then she's like, well, they enjoyed it. I don't know why. And there was one time she actually came up to me after a show and she said, I finally figured out why people like your jokes. And I thought she was going to be like, because you're actually funny or something like that. And she said, it's because they're stupid.
Oh, wow. Dagger to the heart.
She was like, because they're stupid, they laugh at dumb things. And I was like, sure, it couldn't be because different people have different personalities and sense of humor, and
not a chance. Not a chance.
They're dumb.
Well, hey, have a good set tonight, and I think Mark has somebody in mind for the next one up. But we'll see here.
I'll
you guys
flag somebody down for you.
Alrighty.
Oh yeah. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Feel free to adjust that however you need
Do I
to.
wear a headset?
No, I got
Okay.
it. I can hear you fine, so
Sweet.
you're good.
Cool.
So is it Bruce Wayne? Batman?
No, not here.
Not here.
Not in this part of the country. It's Folger.
Hi, Richard.
Nice to meet you.
Is that the best part of waking up? You've probably
No,
heard that.
actually, it's actually really horrible. You can ask several drag queens. It's a horrible part of waking up.
I'm sorry, I don't get too many opportunities to jump on a potential joke like that. So
Oh, no,
I'm sure you've heard it 30 times already today.
Yeah,
so
usually mostly on online dating apps, but everyone thinks they're clever.
That's okay. You guys are actually great at being clever, and funny, which is why you're here at the showcase. How long have you been clever and funny for?
Oh, my whole life. But I've been doing it professionally for 3 years.
And what finally got you over the hump of I'm going to go and get in front of a bunch of strangers and see if I can be funny for 3 to 15 minutes here.
Yeah, I was the typical class clown, middle child. Just I'll do anything for a laugh. I was the kid in high school that would lick peanut butter off the floor for $1. I was always the funny guy in the group. In the Army, I was always making people laugh. And I finally talked with a lieutenant who did stand-up comedy, and he thought I did just the way I interacted with my soldiers, and so he talked me into doing it. I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna give it a shot. And then I broke my foot and was on a bed for 2 months and couldn't walk for another 4 months. And so I sat and did nothing for the 2 months I was on a bed but writing bits. So when I could finally walk upright, I gave it a shot and been doing it ever since.
That's got to be one of the most unique origin stories for comedy, because you're in an environment that doesn't know funny. You guys
You're very wrong.
Really?
That is troops. I love troops because they just get it. Their humor is very situational. You can't do troop jokes to civilians because most of them might get it. But troops, they definitely have an incredibly distinct sense of humor. Anyone that's been in any kind of armed services, sense of humor is pivotal. And it's just from day one, any service you join, the Marines, Navy, Air, whatever service, your drill sergeants are all funny as shit. And they, try to break you. And so you just get these colloquialisms and sayings, and everyone has them in the Army. And it's just, sense of humor is very profound, or very, not profound, what's the word? prolific in the armed services. Like it's everywhere.
Because when I think about military, I think like rules, strict, serious, and you guys have comedians come and perform for you, which is obviously a great break. But you know, there's always that really misleading interpretation of what something is. So when I think of funny and military, I think of In the Army Now, Pauly Shore and Andy Dick, and I think that can't be how that is.
It's nothing like that. It's just I think it's because there are rules and regulations and standards that we get to be so funny. Like I've written so many jokes after talking with troops or veterans because they are some of the funniest people I've ever been around. Like 10 times funnier than half the comedians I ever hang out with. And it's the rules where like a sergeant or a captain will be like, if I hear one more motherfucker say another word, you're all doing push-ups. And then somebody's like, is it okay if we sing? And so, like, we're subject matter experts of knowing where the line is and how. And that's what comedy is like knowing where the line is and how to cross it. And it's, yeah, my sense of humor definitely, it's been impacted by two things. And it was growing up with an immigrant mom and my family situation growing up, and then the Army.
So we've been doing kind of a fun running bit here with the people that have come up and done kind of a get-to-know-you segment, and that is...
definitely Brian Hood. He's the one I'd screw.
There was that one, and then measuring how long you've been doing comedy for. Is it minutes, or is it times you've gone up on stage?
I just always did it in years.
Oh, just years?
Well, it's like baby's age. You can be like, I've been doing it for 18 months, or I haven't started 3 months ago. Or once you get like to 3 years, you stop measuring in months. It's always... I guess if you had to count all the minutes that I've performed with a mic in my hand, I don't know, it's probably like 12. At least 12. Because
the reason it came up is that Mark was talking about how with an open mic, you're only up there for like 3 or 4 minutes. And so you could tell somebody like, yeah, I've performed like 10 times. But if it's only open mics, that's like, what, 20 minutes worth of comedy,
well,
you know?
And some open mic, like the only open mic that's 3 minutes is the Spokane Comedy Club. Before that club opened up, you would get 5 to 7 minutes at any mic, sometimes 7 to 10. And so you get these guys, and I hate this, you'll get guys that don't do it very often, but they have like 2 solid minutes, and then they do them, and then they're like, yeah, so what else am I going to talk about? Yeah, I don't know, what happened in the news today? I don't know, I guess Clint Eastwood is still alive. Like, I'm a huge proponent for, if you have 10 funny minutes, but you have 15 minutes to perform, just do your 10 and get off the stage.
Yeah.
Even if you have like an hour, but you only are allotted, 10, 15 minutes, just leave when the crowd is laughing. You don't have to do your time.
I feel like, I want to say there was a comedian that I remember who wanted to leave like on an almost awkward note. I think it was Eddie. I don't know if he intended to do it that way, but he's like, yeah, I kind of like to leave my shows on a meh, feeling, and I feel like I've done that, so we're done here. And then walked off.
Well, and yeah, it's like if you're a professional headliner, you're like contractually obligated to do at least 45 minutes, and if you did 20 and you're like, I'm out of here, that's like, okay, that's a dick move.
Yeah.
But, yeah, in certain comedy situations, you have to do your time. But, like here, Mark wants us all to do 15. I'm going to do like 3 and peace out, just... I got 3 great guys.
That's what matters the most. So, for you, being a comedian of military origins, is it too far-fetched to say that Bob Hope was a guy that really, kind of inspired you in any way, shape, or form? Or is that way too before your time?
No. He's definitely an inspiration to me, just as a person, not necessarily as a comedian. Really, there's no comedians that old that inspired me or that I like. I mean, I definitely respect everything he's done, but I grew up watching Seinfeld and Jay Leno, and so that was kind of where I think I found like how to like say a joke or how to like time when something is funny. But it was always, I mean, I've always been trying to make stupid jokes as long as I can remember. Like in school, everywhere I've gone, it's always been trying to do something funny. And so I don't try to be like one comedian. If I could, I really like Steve Martin is the one who I feel like I most exemplify because he's very animated, very musical, and that's who I would say is like, if I could have anyone's skill, it would be Steve Martin.
Can you play a banjo?
I can't play. I can play a banjo tuned like a 6-string guitar, but I can play the guitar.
Okay, because that's like the one thing that he brought that nobody else really did was he's an incredible banjo player. Like it's not a gimmick. It's like he can go out there and like
he would do this. He was so musical in his bits, and he had this one. He would be telling a joke, and then an electric guitar would be coming down from the rafters, just super super slow, like while he's telling this joke, and then it would land in his arms, and he would just strum one chord and then let it go. And so it was like this huge build-up, like, oh, what's he going to do with the guitar? And then, brown, and then let it go. I just think that is so funny. Just put all this effort into getting a guitar for one chord.
But then you give him a banjo, and he's going to, like, melt your face in, a backwoods country kind of way, you know?
And, well, he has a band that he...
He tours with it, and it's incredible to see guys like that and their artistry go down so many different avenues and do it well, because sometimes you see a guy that's like, I'm going to try this, and then they suck at it, and he's like,
Kevin Costner tried country music. Nobody remembers that. I mean, even Garth Brooks tried pop music.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers Chris Gaines.
Yeah, no. It was there's some big epic failures, but you're going to set tonight, 3 minutes according to you, but
I'm going to do 5 3-minute sets.
Five 3-minute sets.
Wardrobe changes in between each one.
Oh, that's good.
But it's only clothes coming off. No, not a change, just a derobing.
It's like, okay, and jackets, all right, pants, okay, I'm down to one item, okay, we're good. This is the home stretch now.
Always keep the shoes on.
Always keep All right, man, well, hey, have a good set tonight. I look forward to it. Yeah, you too. Oh, we got the next one here.
Hi, I'm Will Gilman. I just want to let everyone... Wait, where are the Girl Scout cookies at? Is she already gone?
So apparently, if I need to have you guys up and out, it's Girl Scout cookies are...
man.
Wow. Like, that he moved fast, man.
Yeah, I've never seen him move that fast. Like, not even chasing girls.
I'm Richard.
Will,
nice to meet you officially, and you are going to be part of Mark Morris's Comedy Monday here at the Buzz. How long have you been doing comedy for?
Oh, way too long.
I was going to say, you look like a tenured comic. I don't know if that's like a thing, but you do look like a tenured comic.
Well, I guess that's good.
Kind of like a Kevin Smith vibe, I'd say.
That's probably mostly because I'm a fat kid with a beard, but...
I was going to say, you look like you have a nerd corner in the room, probably have some comic book or pop culture references that you throw in there.
Oh,
but I could be completely off base.
A little bit. I'm opening for Mick Foley in May, so I'm trying out some pro wrestling.
Wow, you're going to open for Mick Foley.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Mark, shut up! I'm doing a podcast over here.
I'm doing a comedy show. You want to fight?
Yeah?
He's bigger than I am. He wins. We'll see you guys in about 5 or 10 minutes.
I guess we got 5 or 10 minutes.
Oh,
then.
okay.
Well, anyway, so Folger. Yes. Folger was just talking to me about how, on the subject of me being wrong, is that I didn't think that you could come from a military origins and do comedy. So he's proven me wrong on that. I have yet to see his set, so I mean, to someone like me, he could flop. But what style of comedy is yours?
I'm more of a storyteller. You know, I'm just kind of taking things from my past and, you know, filtering out the unfunny stuff, and hopefully things work. You know, taking, you know, something that happened, you know, tossing some spice a bowl. Can I curse on this?
Yeah, go for it. Let it fly.
I didn't know if you... Some podcasts are like, no, this has to be family friendly, and I'm like, fuck. You know, sprinkle some bullshit on there just to try to spice it up and make it bigger, and then poof, there I am.
So see, I love storytelling comedy, I really do. There are some comics that do like their own very unique style that's very much not storytelling that I find hilarious. But the thing for me about storytelling is that, one, if you can hear a story that you can relate to, bonus points. And two, I remember when I went to summer camp a few summers, we had the dog collar, which was basically an award that they gave out each night. You had to wear this dog collar around your neck, and it was for doing the dumbest thing of the day. But the kicker is that it only had to be the story 10% true. So I feel like for comedy, that's like your one big dog collar story throughout your whole set, you know?
Especially some of my stuff. It's full on, like, I'd be wearing the one with the spikes and all that.
Oh, wow. So what's the one story that you embellished the most because you knew that if it had happened the way that you saw it playing out, it would have been gold, and so you had to do it that way?
One of the jokes I'm doing tonight is the truth of the joke is that these two sort of shorter, skinny guys liked taking me with them when they went out to, like, the dance club, so that they could grind up on any girl they wanted. And if their boyfriends gave them shit, they can just point back and be like, I'm with the big guy, haha. And so that's the only truth from there. And then the rest from it that will expand out later is just total fabrication.
I love it. I do. I think that's awesome. And for people to tell stories like that, I think it's, giving your friends a little unknown claim to fame, but they're going to come up to you afterwards and be like, that's not how it happened.
Oh, yeah. No. In the joke, I challenge him to a fight. It's...
Have you ever been called out by a family member or friend and they were genuinely upset with you?
Yes.
Good. That's the answer I wanted, because some people won't own up to it. They're just like, no, because they either don't listen to my stuff or they get that it's comedy. But it's like, I feel like half the stories I hear from the comedians I really like Tom Segura, like if I was his friend, coworker, wife, whoever, like I'm going to be like, really?
Yeah.
Like you said that in front of complete strangers?
Yeah, no, there's a joke. I'm not doing it tonight, but my mom, she has rheumatoid arthritis, osteoporosis, fibromyalgia, hepatitis C, and 6 dogs.
Wow.
And then in the joke, I say, but finally there's somebody in the world I can beat in a foot race. And I stand up the microphone stand next to me, and I kind of turn to it like it's my mom. Like, all right, are you ready, Mom? Are you ready? On your mark, get set. And then I knock the microphone stand down and shout, go. Oh, she hated that joke when she saw it.
But she's going to be the only one that, unless you have like close friends or family, are going to know that that's your mom. Like,
yeah,
because my nightmare for comedians, especially ones that are just up and coming, starting out, is to have that crowd where you have a family member or friend that you're going to tell a joke about, and you get the whole audience to laugh, and they're in the back, nobody knows who they are, and they're like, "That's bullshit. That's not how that happened."
I had something like that happen to me with a stranger at a show. I did this show in Newport, of all places, and I do a bit where I talk about that I'm not gay, but I could be if I could treat the male penis like it was fondue, because I'll put damn near anything in my mouth that has chocolate sauce or cheese sauce on it. And there's this woman just off stage right. She just starts shouting, "No! No! You're fucking gay! No!" So I proceeded to hit on her boyfriend.
I'm sorry, Mark. I'm stealing his best material right now on the podcast. He just gave me 5 of his 15 minutes.
Jokes, huh? All 3 of them. Yeah.
Well, hey, you got me laughing. You're going to get the rest of them laughing. But thank you so much. Have a great set tonight.
And, I thought we were going to talk pro wrestling because you're wearing the Shawn Michaels shirt.
Okay, well, I didn't know that you were opening for Mick Foley, so I didn't have that mentally prepared.
Yeah.
But holy shit, you're opening for Mick Foley.
That was my thought when they came up to me. It's like I'm getting paid almost nothing, but I'm opening for Mick Foley, you know?
Is that one of those moments where it's like dream come true, or like I better not fuck this up? Like,
a little bit of both.
Little bit of both.
75% dream come true, 25% holy shit.
Did they know that coming to you for that? Like, he would be perfect because he's a huge Mick Foley fan.
Yes, because they saw me at a show, and there was a Facebook post in one of our Facebook groups where they asked who the biggest pro wrestling fan in the comedy scene was. And there were 20 comments, and I was tagged 21 times. So it was just like they knew who to go to.
That's awesome, though. So when you meet Mick Foley, are you going to like geek out, or can you keep it together?
I'm hoping I can keep it together a little bit, but there's a part of me that really wants to get a photo of him giving me the Sacco Club.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even mad at that. I would do it, absolutely. Or get with the bang bang. You know, you can do that one too. There's a lot of different poses you can get with different people that I don't think it should be frowned upon at all. Worst wrestler right now on the main roster for either show.
Worst wrestler on the main roster. I dislike Jinder a lot. Not because of his talent level, but because of his push.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, he was losing every week. Now suddenly he's the champion.
Yeah.
Who's going to believe this?
He got taken out by Rob Gronkowski
Yeah.
at WrestleMania, and now he's the champion.
Yeah.
Or he was, But Raw's happening right now, and it's almost WrestleMania time.
I know.
And I'm concerned. There's some great matches set up, but this has, like, Vince, I'm going to screw this all up written all over it, you know?
Like, we're getting AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura, which
Yeah.
if it's anything like their Wrestle Kingdom match, it's going to be amazing.
And they're going to open WrestleMania with
but
it,
they're
probably.
not going to get Wrestle Kingdom time on that match.
No, they're not. Jericho Omega is another match
my God,
like
was
that.
that awesome.
That was so good. And I had that thing was going on at like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And I woke up just in time to see like probably the last 15 minutes of the match, which was worth it. I went back and watched the whole thing through.
Yeah.
But I dozed off, had it up on my phone, and then woke up and I was like, oh, I fell asleep. And then I looked and I was like, okay, they're still going. Like there's nobody's raising their arm yet. And I watched and I was like, this is so awesome. And then it like finished and I was like, that was so awesome. So yeah, I geeked out.
And then hearing both of them on Jericho's podcast talking about the match coming together.
His podcast is so good.
Oh yeah,
he's number one. Like, okay, so I'm a huge fan of The Rock, but when it comes to my bucket list of guests I have to get on my podcast, Jericho is number one, undisputed, without a doubt. Like, if I can get a guy that is the frontman of a rock band, is one of the greatest wrestlers ever, and does a kick-ass job with his own podcast on my podcast?
Yeah.
Like, that'd be like when I got Charlotte Flair on mine last year in September for 8 minutes. Like, if I can get 5 minutes out of Jericho.
Oh, yeah, that'd be amazing. I've never gotten anybody that big on any shows I'm associated with, but there's always hope.
Yeah, well, you're going to open for Mick Foley. I'm hopefully going to be there, but hey, man, kill it tonight. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we are at the Buzz, and I'm going to say goodnight to Mark. You have any final remarks for us, Mark?
Oh, hold on. I'll speak on Mark's behalf. Let's see. Mark would like to thank all of the pretty women who came tonight.
In more ways than one.
Yeah, because this guy, he may not have much in the penis department, but his finger and tongue game is astounding.
I wish I could argue with that.
He's not going to argue. That's
he's
awesome.
not going to argue that he has...
Mic drop right there.
Yeah. There, I'll get out of the way.
I'm holding up your comedy show, Mark. I'm sorry. I'm holding up your showcase.
Oh, no, it's all right. I just wanted to say that I wish I could refute anything that Will Gilman said, but the fact of the matter is he knows from personal experience himself.
Oh, there you go.
Being a similar kind of individual. No, you know what? I want to thank you for coming out and doing this with us again. It's you caught me kind of off guard when you hit me up and asked if you want me. I wanted you to come back out. For future reference, the answer is always yeah.
Yeah, man. I love variety, and this is comedy. I'm a huge fan of comedy, so it's the Fan Show, and tonight it's if you're a fan of comedy, you should be at the Buzz, and people are going to hear this and they're going to see what they missed out on, and hopefully you get even better crowd next time.
You know, and if you don't come out for a comedy night, which is the third Monday of every month here at the Buzz, come out on another night. You know, they've got screens all around the room. They're big into keeping the games up if you like sports, which I know this is a sports podcast. I mean, a sports show. It's a great space, and the owners are fantastic, which is why I'm so fortunate to be able to do this every month.
Yep. We talked to him a little bit, so we're all set for a good couple hours of laughs here at the Buzz. So go in.
As soon as I get rid of the Girl Scouts, we're gonna. I just found out that Thin Mints are vegan. I feel betrayed.
Wow, that kind of hit me hard too. There.
It's like the Native American hunting down his people back in the old days.
Folger ran out of here when he heard there was Girl Scout cookies. Like, I'm glad that we were wrapped up because he took off, man. Like,
well, you know. It's the siren call of the Thin.
It is. I will agree. All right, we'll have a great showcase tonight. Thanks for having me back. This is always a pleasure to be here with some really funny people.
And me. I appreciate it.
All right. Mark Morris of Mark Morris Comedy and the Spoke comedy scene down here at the Buzz. That's going to do it for this comedy special of the Fan Show. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners, and remember, it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night.
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his one player's butt? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the F.A.N show.